In this video, I'll show you how you can tell if somebody has Asperger's syndrome fast, so that by the end of the video, you'll be able to know how to spot it. Coming up. Hey, I'm Dan. I have Asperger's Syndrome, ADHD, OCD and dyslexia. I make weekly videos on this subject, so if you're new around here and you want to learn more about autism, make sure to hit that subscribe button to learn more. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 of my personal traits that will help you understand more about Asperger's Syndrome so you can identify it in people. Welcome back, Aspie World superheroes. I hope you're all super pumped. Thank you for being a part of this most accepting family on YouTube. And on that subject, I would just like to say I'm really after some more people on my Instagram and Twitter, so if you guys want to follow me at TheAspieWorld on Instagram and Twitter, I'll follow you right back. And also, if you've got Facebook, give a search for TheAspieWorld and give me a like. I follow every single person back, and that would be super awesome. Just trying to build some more community. So before we get started, I just want to ask you guys a question that you can put in the comments below. What do you like better, summer or winter? It's kind of getting to winter now, and I know that like I have SAD, such as seasonal affective disorder, and I don't like the winter weather, but I really love the summer. I love the sunshine. I love being able to go out on my skateboard and actually skateboard and stuff. Let me know what you guys think, because like, I don't know, I just feel like, I don't know, it'd be cool to know if you guys are summer people or you're winter people, but I'm definitely not a winter person. Oh, before I forget, if you guys want to get the latest on my blog and my podcast and some other super fun stuff, make sure you click the subscribe to my mailing list link in the description below, because I'll be releasing a weekly podcast, and that is the only way to find it initially unless you're already subscribed. I'll leave a link for that in the description below. Okay, so 5 signs of Asperger's syndrome to help you identify it in people. Okay, so the first one is issues with social cues. Now, people with Asperger's syndrome have an issue with social cues. Over 70% of communication between humans is non-verbal. This means that they use body language and they use what are called like social signs and social cues to converse with one another. So they'll use hand signals, gestures, and things like that. Now, this is something that people typically learn as they grow older and they have social situations, and they understand these things because they start to learn them in a process, which is just socializing with other kids, other people, and you kind of come to an understanding of what these social cues do. People with Asperger's syndrome have this neurological condition that affects the part of the brain that controls the communication part, which obviously is entailed with these traits of not understanding social cues. So social cues are a bit of a miss, and the whole process of learning those is kind of lost in people with Asperger's syndrome. I mean, they could learn these, but initially they won't learn them, because people with Asperger's syndrome are very literal, so they take everything literally to a certain extent. Not everybody, but most of the people with the condition will take things literally and quite literally. So things like sarcasm and social cues, these are a miss. So that's something definitely to look out for if somebody's not really getting social gestures and things like that. Okay, so number 2 is obsessive interest and talking extensively about this excessive interest. Now, people with Asperger's syndrome get obsessions, and obsessions are like when you find something, you find like a new thing that you're well into. Like for me, it's like SEO and learning like algorithmic changes in YouTube. I love that right now. But one of the things I'm really into is UFOs. I'm also into like big conspiracy theories, and one of my main obsessions is Fight Club. And if you don't like Fight Club, then you gotta go check it out. It's amazing. Now, when you get obsessed with this thing, I just learn every single thing about it. I want to buy everything about it, and then like I'll just like collect everything I can about that specific topic, and I want to talk about it all the time, and I want to talk to people about it all the time, just about that specific topic. But we can change which one we're interested in. So we can have like this week it could be like Hello Kitty, and then next week it could be Pokemon, and the week after it could be Minecraft. But for that week you get completely submerged in that and completely take that as like, that's everything right now, I'm going to get obsessed with it. This is very common, and we see this across the board for anybody with Asperger's syndrome. So again, this is like a characteristical trait that you can then apply to this profiling to say if somebody has like this along with the other ones comorbidly, then potentially they may have Asperger's syndrome. Just to let you know as well, I have these autism alert cards available on my website, which is theaspieworld.com. They're only £5, and this is an amazing thing. You put your name and contact number on the back of there. This is like a credit card type of thing. It's printed on there, it's personalized, and it has a link here to go to a website that tells you all about autism, and at the back here it tells you some common autism characteristics and traits, so that if you're ever in an emergency situation and you need to get someone to understand autism quickly, you can whap this card out. Link is in the description below and in the card above. Okay, so number 3 is hyperfocus. And hyperfocus is when you find something that you get really focused on. It could be as simple as finding this little iPhone audio connector and getting really intrigued by it, like the texture, the shape of it, what it does, its functions, and getting really focused on this. Now, hyperfocus you can get so hyper-focused in on something that you can just completely block everything out. And this has happened a few times where, like, I'll get hyper-focused on something and then my girlfriend will be like, hey Dan, and I'm like, hyper-focusing, and I can't even hear her talking. She's like, down, like, whoa, like it's spaced out for a bit. Now, this is something that happens normally with like obsessive interest, but the hyper-focus can happen on a few different things, like noticing fine details, but really focusing on those fine details, like being like a world champion to spot the difference. But when you're in that zone, you're completely committed to just looking at that one thing, and that is definitely a common trait that I found with people with Asperger's syndrome. Okay, so number 4 is hypersensitivity, and this comes across in many different ways. Now, hypersensitivity, people with Asperger's syndrome will find things like smell and taste very, very hypersensitive. So if I'm around people who've got like really, really bad perfume and it's really overpowering, it just triggers me and it instantly gets me angry or upset, and I could lash out or have a meltdown or like tick or something like that. And this would be really, really difficult, especially if you're around loads of people you need to speak to, or you're around a social situation where you need to see these people, and then you start freaking out because of the certain type of perfume you're wearing or cologne. It happens to me when I smell onions and garlic and vinegar and perfumes. I can't be around any of those things. Even in, like, if we're going shopping, there'd be like the deli counter over there with all like the garlic and the hummus and all that kind of stuff. I can't go anywhere near it. I have to go all the way over here to just avoid it. I actually walk around the other side of the store so that I can avoid all those smells, because it completely puts me off, makes me totally uncomfortable, and just ruins the experience for me. Not only that, I also can be sensitive to certain lighting as well. So the lighting in stores are normally like strip lighting, and that kind of like vibrates, and you might see a lot of autistic people and people with Asperger's syndrome doing this, and it's to cut out the phase of the light, because the light is flickering, and the people with the condition can actually see that flicker a lot of the time, and I can see that flicker, and so this kind of counteracts that and stops it flickering in their eyes. But I know there's sunglasses when I go out anywhere, because sunglasses also help overcome that, because it kind of blocks down some of the light. But again, hypersensitivity can be around different types of food textures, it can be about clothing textures. I know people don't like clothing labels on their actual clothes on the back there. That's why I invented my own label-free clothing, which is available at TheAspieWorld.com. It's called Light Bulb Clothing, and it doesn't have any tags, you know, and I made that specifically because people want to have clothing, but they don't want to have the tags on it, and people with Asperger's syndrome can't stand the tags, and they can't stand that like rough and that irritation, because it's just going to lead to crazy stuff, like potentially a meltdown, potentially a bad experience, potentially I'm going to go home early because this is setting me or triggering me off. If you're enjoying this video, I actually have a secret vlog which is completely not on this YouTube channel at all, but to gain access to that, you can go and support me on patreon.com/TheAspieWorld to gain access to the secret vlog, and also get access to the secret podcast. All the information for that is in the description below for the Patreon link, so make sure you check that out if you're really interested in seeing more content from me. Help support me in this channel, helps me help other people with autism spectrum conditions, and help me support families. Thank you. Okay, so last but not least is social anxiety. When I'm traveling, I have to take medication to calm me down, because the overwhelming amount of people around me, when there's like, you know, hundreds and hundreds of people around me, or there's people busy and they're walking around, and that just kind of triggers, it goes into hypersensitivity a bit as well. But the anxiety of wanting to go out and then be bombarded with those senses causes this anxious kind of feeling. Now, social anxiety is a huge part of being on the autism spectrum. I don't think I've ever met somebody with autism who doesn't have social anxiety. It's a big issue, and it's one that actually stops me doing a lot of things. So for instance, I booked tickets to go and see a band called Busted, and me and my girlfriend are going to go see them, but the closer it got to the date, I had travel anxiety of driving there in the car, anxiety of parking the car, had anxiety of then going out and getting to our seat to make sure we're safe, and then anxiety of getting back in the car to drive home. You know, in my mind I just wanted to be back home and in bed before I'd even gone out, and so it got so bad that I ended up just selling the tickets, because I just couldn't deal with that pressure of the anxiety, and it's a really big issue. And if you'd like to see a video specifically on anxiety, give this video a thumbs up, and maybe I'll do that in the next week or two, but give me a good gauge to see if you like this. So social anxiety is something that is very, very common, especially going like to school or going to work or going to like university or something like that, or going out shopping, anywhere that isn't the person's comfort zone, because people with Asperger's syndrome love routine. They love that repetitive pattern, like getting up, doing this, having that tea, that time, and you know, doing those things, getting on that computer, playing that game for that amount of time, then go to bed at this time and eating that type of food. That is pretty much like the lifestyle of people with Asperger's syndrome, because they love it and thrive off routine. And when that routine is interrupted, they get super anxious about it, and if they're anxious about the routine getting interrupted, then it's going to cause all kinds of mess. There are a bunch of other traits that characterize Asperger's syndrome. I'd love to share every single one with you guys in maybe a really big video where I cover all of my specific you know, traits and characteristics that characterize Asperger's syndrome and led to my diagnosis. Maybe I could do that for you in another video, but let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see that as well. I hope you guys learned something, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.